Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Then you'll find me right there. How are you doing? Welcome aboard. Glad to have you along. Another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday as we stroll into mid-October, late October, I guess you would say, the 21st. Holy smokes. The thing that I dread more than anything throughout the year. I could probably pick this one thing that happens each year that I hate more than my birthday, which means I'm older. And that is when we move back the clocks. Damn it, do I hate that. It is so depressing. It's just like everything just goes oh man. But what are you gonna do? It could be worse. You could be on that time the whole time. And then how about the all those years when those two dumb states like Arizona and Indiana didn't recognize daylight savings time, and Indiana had areas of the state that were in two different time zones. Yeah. That was marvelous. That was marvelous. So got a new phone yesterday, so I've been screwing around with that. Now you got to learn how to deal with all that different, because it's a same as far as it's Samsung and all of that, but completely different phone. And I'm so glad that I've got a case coming for it. I got right on to Amazon and said, got to get that here ASAP. Because haven't had, this one was a replacement phone, although it was a piece of, I'm not going to say it, but it's one of them fold out deals. It was great when it worked, but it didn't work long after it got replaced. But I beat the living snot out of it, mainly because it's too thick, and you put a case on it, and man, it's even thicker. So now I've got one with a bigger screen, but much thinner. So we'll see how that works. But this is supposed to have an awesome camera, and so I love doing video and things of that nature with all of the events that we get to cover. As a matter of fact, I was watching some of it the other day, and I'm like, man, they got so much stuff. I need to just put that out there as, you know, the sights and sounds of this college football season. And I need to start taping more in those lines with some other things from later in the games and things like that, because it's kind of cool just to go back and listen to it. Last year, one of my favorite videos that had no intention on it being a quote unquote video was coming off of the Rose Bowl field behind Curt Cignetti and that wave of Indiana fans that had just gathered right there where the teams was going in, and he's coming off the field with that Joe Namath #1 up in the air. And that was a pretty cool video to get. But the best video I ever got will never be topped. I have the video up that was Bob Knight's first and last interview upon his return to the Indiana University campus. I guess this was back in 2019 when he came to that baseball game. I mean, I know I've told the story before. It's been a while, but I was there at a baseball game. I think it was on a Sunday, and their press area is, pretty small, as you can imagine. It's a much smaller facility. It might hold 6 people on the bottom, and there's one way in, so you got to come in from the one end, and then there's a row behind you. But not only was I on the bottom, I was 6 in. I was over against the wall, and just sitting there watching TV, and they keep showing. There's a stir, there's a buzz, and you can tell. And then they're showing this golf cart, and then I think I just heard the word Knight or something, and then I realized it was Bob Knight, and I think I knocked down 3 people just getting the hell out of there, getting back through all that stuff. Just kidding. I don't think I knocked anyone down, but I busted tail to get out there, and he came right. He was just, I kind of thought that's where he was going to do, but came right up, and the golf cart got out, and I was shocked, to be honest with you. I was not expected to be in that position, so I wish I would have performed better myself. But I said, what's it like to be back at Indiana? And he just gave a nondescript answer. That's nice or whatever. And well, no, first he cracked a joke. That was the funny thing. Well, I said, I don't know. My wife's not here to tell me. But he was just, cordial as could be, but that was it. That would be the one and only. And I was very lucky to get that. I've got it posted on my YouTube deal, but I was in such a hurry to get it out. I misspelled exclusive, and I have Xlive, and it drives me insane because every time I see that, because it's pinned, it just drives me nuts that that's up there. So, hey, I'm going to pull the George Costanza. Speaking of George Costanza, I'm out for a minute. I got to take a break. The great Mike DeCourcy's coming in. He's like he's the George Steinbrenner. He's the boss, man. He's got it going on. Looking forward to it. Great to have you guys along. Great to be with you on this very fall-like Thursday or Tuesday, as the temperatures are starting to eke down into some great football weather. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. That means a visit from our good friend Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, where you can get the best in sports coverage, as they have been pumping it out since 1776, the same year that our country was founded. They were there first to report on the. I think they put the Constitution out. I can't remember if it was the same day or not, but it may have been a day behind. But how about that? That's got to be a new one. I don't know where my brain comes up with this stuff, man. But what are you gonna do? You got to deal with the crazy guy.
1886, Jim. So we were like 110 years.
See, I'm not too far off. Well, you know,
you weren't that far off. I would say you weren't that far
years.
off.
Yeah, and I was being facetious. Unfortunately, you were after the gunfight at the OK Corral. Not only that, I started. You know, I used to compete in pro rodeo, and so I have just an affinity for Old West and things of that nature. But I know that happened in 1881, that the gunfight. Okay. Then I started, there was like 4, maybe even 5, at least 4 major things that happened in 1881. And damned if I can remember what they were, but I'll try to look them up. But it was shocking to me because I'm like, wait, what? I mean, like, I think Billy the Kid may have died in 1881. Nothing to do with that. There was like a couple other things too that I would just blew my mind that it all happened in that year. And I'm like, well, that's kind of wild. Guys can't even get their own attention. They got to get crowded out. Got to get crowded out, man. Come on, Billy the Kid. What? Can't you wait a little bit? But another little bit of trivia. Billy the Kid lived in Indianapolis.
I did not know that.
I did not know it either until I knew it. But I was just reading something and I was like, wait, what? I'm like, damn, they're giving his address. And you can imagine back then, you know, that's right in the heart of downtown and all of that. But Indiana was they had some John Dillinger. He was the bad one. Sam Bass, I think he was notorious frontiersman. Just then you can go. I always think of, because Indiana's so small. I know I'm off on this crazy tangent, and I don't know why, but I started thinking about music. Yes. Axl Rose and I think it's, damn it, who is the other guy? He has not been with them for years, but they originally were the no.
I only know 2 people. So
this is one of the guys. This is a guy who did not come back when they reassembled here a few years ago, but they're both from West Lafayette.
Wow.
David Lee Roth was born in Bloomington.
Did not know that. Wes Montgomery, one of the all-time greats. Are you aware of Wes?
Well, yeah, I know who he is.
Absolutely. He's an Indianapolis guy through and through. I mean,
Mellencamp, and then you've got the Michael Jackson and the Jacksons. But Michael Jackson, I mean, it's like, okay, I guess Indiana's got its it can stick its finger in the rock and roll pie and say, well, how you like me now? For one of the smaller states, not too bad. Not too
bad.
shabby.
Yes.
Not too shabby. How is Mike DeCourcy doing?
Well, I am fine. Absolutely. Doing well.
You look like it. You got the presidential chair pulled up. We've really upgraded there. I'm still, I'm in a similar desk type chair, but I can never get comfortable in one of these daggone chairs. It's like the rollers are just like a half a spot off where I want it to be, and you can never quite get it where you want it. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, if I couldn't get comfortable in this chair, my entire life would be miserable because, as you know from reading sportingnews.com, I spent quite a few hours in this chair composing different articles. So thank God that it's comfortable. I went to one of the office stores and I sat in all the chairs until I found this one. And so you absolutely have to be able to get comfortable at work, Jim, because you're going to be there a while.
Brother, tell me about it. There are days that I look up and it's 8 o'clock and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But it happens. It happens. But that's because we're covering so much of this great fun stuff that's happening.
Yes.
First of all, in college football, man, you need a job. Do you need a job? Do you need a job? Because I know where there's an opening. I know where there's another opening. I mean, big names, UCLA, Penn State, Florida, all dump. It's like everybody's racing to get rid of their coach if they even think that they're going to get rid of him, because I guess it's a race, but it's like, who are you racing to?
It's a race to nowhere, Jim.
Exactly.
It really is.
Cignetti locked down, and I'm like, who are you going to get?
I have fans, not fans of me, but fans of different programs say online, well, this gets you into the market sooner. And you know what they call this, Jim? They call this a telephone. If you want to make a call to an agent and say, we think we're going to fire our coach, would your guy be interested? Would your person be interested? You know how hard that is? It's as hard as dialing the phone. So you don't need to do this now. Unless something untoward has happened, you don't do yourself any favors by doing this now. All you have to placate the boosters who want to see it change. You know what you can do? You can say, hey, Mr. Booster, I'm going to fire him. But there's no point in firing him now because all we're doing is paying him to not work. And he is the best person situated to finish this season with our players. And so that's how we're going to do it. And then when the season's over, we're going to politely tell him that he's done because it's not happening. And that's all you have to do, Jim. You don't have to make these moves now. It doesn't prove anything. But all these athletic directors now are making these moves now, as the Florida situation is the most preposterous. They fired the guy after he won a game. Now, was it a pristine performance? No. And in 2 weeks, you're going to play Georgia and you're probably going to lose 56-7.
He's won back-to-back games, as a matter of fact, including one over Texas.
I mean, it is just ridiculous. There's the other part about this that sometimes is positive. Well, if you let him get momentum, then you won't be able to. No, you do what you want to do. He can get all the momentum you want, and you can win a bunch of games, and then you can fire him at the end of the year because you don't think it's where you want to be. Whatever, there's no control there's no circumstance that's out of your control as the administrator in charge, whether it's the school president or the athletic director or some combination thereof. There is no circumstance in which you are advantaging yourself by getting your coach fired now and getting into the market earlier, because these things are not done publicly. These transactions do not happen publicly. If you want a new coach, you call that person's agent and you say, I want your coach. And then the agent says, well, this is what it'll cost, or he's not really interested in leaving, or whatever the case might be. But this stuff about you have to do it now, I think that Florida showed an absolute lack of leadership by getting this done now. When you've got a game in 2 weeks, you could maybe go win it. It's your rival, the largest outdoor cocktail party and all that. Well, what kind of party is it now? You're going in with an untested head coach who's not on a 2-game winning streak. This approach is absurd. And then here's the other thing, Jim. Now, I'm not saying Florida was wrong. I mean, they had multiple years of.
Well, they're wrong to do it when they did it. I think it's dumb. It's just dumb.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, in general, like Billy Napier had several years to show whether or not he was.
Oh, absolutely.
This stuff. So I'm not saying that, but there are some coaches who are being let go because they had one slip, and that's a mistake, Jim. In this era, nobody fired the coach of the 49ers because they went, I think, 6-11 last year. They said, well, we had a bunch of guys lose to injury, and this guy's been really good in the past. Kyle Shanahan has had it. Has done great things for us, so we're not firing him because he had one 6-11 season. But that's happening in college football right now, and at some point they're going to have to understand that it is no longer 75, 85, 95, 05, or 15. It's 2025. Things are totally different now. Things are so totally different that Indiana can be the best or second best team in the country, and you have to process that and try to figure out how do you get to be where Indiana is now. And as the Jets have shown over the years, as the Browns have shown over the years, changing all the time doesn't get you there.
No, and not only does it not, the only team that I agree wholeheartedly with what they did was UCLA.
Yeah,
that was a horrible hire to begin with. And it was just, you could just, anybody that had a half a brain could look and say, this is not how you run. This is like how you would run a lemonade stand, not a business.
Yeah. The mistake I think they made was in bringing him back at all.
I agree with that.
And I think you could say that for Napier too, that they were pretty, they had pretty.
Yeah, especially when you know that he is sitting there on someone's mind going, well, man, if he did just this, he's going to be gone. It's probably already the mentality going into the season.
I've said this on many occasions. If you think you should fire your coach, you should fire your coach. And I don't mean that like immediately. I mean, if you get to the end of the year and it's not going where you think it should go, you probably should, because your boosters or your fans or whatever, they're going to go in that direction. They're going to push you in that direction, whether you follow them or not. And that's not to say that everybody that like is a fan gets a say. I'm saying if you are the owner or president of the school or athletic director or whoever's empowered, whether it's a professional team or a college team, when they get to that point, the idea of bringing somebody back to prove it or whatever, it almost never proves out that it was a wise move to return. Now, there are people sometimes who are really capable coaches who get caught up in that because their administrators aren't really capable. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it usually winds up that you end up making the move anyway. So the sooner, if you make the move at the end of the 24 season, then you don't have to make the move or feel compelled to make the move in the middle of the 25 season.
It comes down to good coaching. It really does. I mean, there's other things that go into it. Don't get me wrong. You got to have a great transfer portal guy and recruiting and all the position coaches. But I hate to. Curt Cignetti is kind of forging a new path in this new. It's a new college era of college sports, college football specifically, and he's carving his own path in this new era by dealing with all the things that are out there and taking the good and putting it to his advantage, even though he's not one of the teams that's a Texas Tech that has, the payroll, whatever it is that they have, or, et cetera, et cetera. And it shows you it can be done. This is like Cincinnati winning the freaking World Series against some of these teams. Now, maybe not quite that much. Maybe that's a little.
Well, I think the difference, Jim, is that while there are much more highly capitalized teams than Indiana, they still exist within Indiana's sphere. So like Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, USC, Alabama, LSU, Florida, more highly capitalized, et cetera, but they are all in those two conferences. There aren't very many schools outside those two conferences that can claim a vast advantage over IU because of the Big Ten membership and what that conveys and the opportunity it provides and the television revenues that are available as a result.
Yeah, and they're definitely making those. And again, that's part of what I think is making this sport incredible.
Yeah.
When you see Indiana at number 2 and Vanderbilt in the top 10, Vanderbilt and Indiana are not only in the top 10, Indiana's number 2. I think they're the number 1 team in the country, to be honest with you, from performance. Although I know that Ohio State has an incredible defense statistically, so does Indiana. And I think that their offense is just better, a little better, not a lot better, because they're very good. They've got a great quarterback at Julian Sand, but the fact that we've got, I think the 2 best teams without question are again in the Big Ten, which is crazy because we could have, if Indiana was able to win the national championship, and I cannot believe that those words just came out of my mouth in a serious sentence. But if they were able to go win the Big Ten championship, go win the national championship, I don't even know what that would do to the sport. I mean, it would rock this sport if a team like Indiana accomplished that.
Yeah.
I mean, it really would, because look what it does now. Look how pissed off people get that when they have to acknowledge that they're a top 10 team. Oh, well, they don't play anybody, whining and this and that.
Can't say that now, though, Jim. Can't say that now.
You would think, but man, can you imagine if they went and did that? Then
are you telling me there's anybody out there still saying that?
Well, look at DeCourcy. I know he's saying this. I mean, DeCourcy. Sorry about that. Look at I call him Fine Bum. And he had to be doing it just to get a reaction from people. There's no way, because it was such a bad move on Indiana's part to sign Cignetti, lock him up. I'm like, yeah, it was, because he didn't go to an SEC school. That's why it was a bad move.
Well, see, people who say things like that are indeed doing that, because that makes no sense at all. Look, what Indiana has right now is what they've never had in their entire history, ever. I mean, they've had pockets of success, but they've never had anything like this. So of course you lock it up, and they didn't extend Curt beyond what would be the expected career length. I mean, he's 61 now.
It's his normal contract. This is, I think he had a 10-year contract that they signed last year once he got coaching, and this is in his 2nd year, and so they've got 8 more. It's an 8-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's 61. He would be 69 at the end of it. It's not like they're extending until he's 85 or whatever. It makes perfect sense. And when the Penn State position opened, I told you last week that I never believed for a second he would leave, that Indiana would not allow him to leave. I was impressed / surprised that the move happened as rapidly as it did. But I will say this, Indiana has shown now on multiple occasions that when the clear, wise move is there to be made, they don't waste any time to make it. They did the same thing with hiring Darren DeVries. That happened very quickly after the Hoosiers didn't make the field of 68 last season. Very quick, and the Mountaineers, where West Virginia, where Darren was coaching then, also didn't make it. That thing happened like that. So they did the same thing here. Why waste the time? This is the smart thing to do. Let's do it. Anybody that's saying either that that's a bad move or that Indiana doesn't play anybody now that they've been to Oregon and won a beautifully played game. No freak luck, as Rocky's old manager Burgess Meredith would have said in the original Rocky. Mickey he said that was freak luck. Like that's not freak luck. They went to Oregon and they won a fiercely contested game by playing brilliantly, and so that doesn't mean that they're going to win Saturday or whatever. Like you still have to go out and do the deal week after week after week. But to this point in the season, they have the best record of any team in college football. Ohio State may have the best team, but the best record is the one that went to Oregon and won.
Yeah, I don't know that they do have the best team because
I said they may. I'm not saying they do.
No, I know. I know. I'm just saying from my standpoint, because of the wins that they have, Alabama has had a good run now that they've gotten things together, but they still have a loss to an unranked team on their on their blotter. Indiana has gone to one of the toughest places. And, I'm kind of getting tired of hearing about how tough it is to play there. You know what? Yeah, it is, but it's no worse than going to Beaver Stadium. It's no worse than going to the Big House. It's no worse than going to the Shoe. No worse than going to Tennessee or Alabama, those places.
Well, yeah, but it depends on the team that's there as well. Like, I think I'd take my team to Beaver Stadium and feel pretty good about it right now. They've lost four.
Well, right now, yeah.
Well, that's my point. You're not only going to Autzen Stadium, which is a challenge, but you're going to play this Oregon team, which is really good. And
but they hadn't lost there in 2 years.
Yeah.
or 3.
So that's why I'm saying that although I may be on the side that until somebody beats Ohio State, they look really imposing. If I'm using NCAA tournament bracket principles to seed if I were doing a projection for the CFP like I do with Fox for the NCAA tournament, I would have Indiana as the one overall is the point I'm making, because they have that win at Oregon over this Oregon team. That's the best resume in college football right now. Now, they have to continue to do this. They have to keep stacking the wins. And if they do continue to do this and keep stacking the wins, then there's a very strong likelihood that the Big Ten championship game could be unlike anything we've ever seen in that game. And we've seen some terrific teams go through there. Future national champions, Ohio State in 2014, Michigan in 2023, Ohio State again in 2024. We've seen some fantastic teams go through there. But I don't think we've ever had a matchup like is portended by the current 1 and 2 positions in the conference and in the polls. Like I said, we don't know for sure that's where we're going, but if we get there, it's going to be amazing.
It certainly has been a fun ride so far, as I expected it to be. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with me. Appreciate you being with us as well. We've got plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with it and more right after these messages.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on this Tuesday. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with us, and we are halfway through the college football season. And man, I don't know, I'm kind of laughing that people haven't, I don't want to say gone after, but really pointed out how almost useless the AP poll is. Because, and I don't mean that to be degrading, but it's because
you want me to be degrading? Because I will.
You don't freaking know. Nobody freaking knows for those first 5 weeks almost. You may think somebody's supposed to be good. Texas should have been good, but they're not. Indiana was not supposed to be the number 2 team in the country, maybe the number 1, but they are. It's just Texas, boom, gone. Penn State, gone. Who am I missing? There was somebody else. Clemson, gone. Number 4. It's all they're still doing this like it was 10, 15 years ago when you base it on the year before. And that's just out the window completely now.
Well, the polls have always been absurd, and that's why I longed for and campaigned for what we see now in college football for much of my career. I've been trying to get college football to understand how preposterous it is to vote on a champion, and that's what they did from 1936 until 1996, something like that. So it's 60 years, and then they allowed a computer to pick the 2 teams that played for it. That was preposterous. And then they allowed a bunch of people to pick the 4 teams that would play for it. And that was preposterous. Now you have a way, if you're Indiana, to assure that you get in the tournament. And that is you win the Big Ten. And it's the same in the ACC. It's the same in the SEC, et cetera. And then after that, then to fill out a championship field, you can have a selection committee. I don't have a problem with that. It exists in a lot of sports. But at the core, you have an opportunity to take the humans out of it by winning your conference. And that should absolutely, that was a necessity. So I have always been opposed to the polls. I participated in the AP basketball poll for 2 years, 90 and 91, I believe it was. I believe those were the 2 years. The exercise was fruitless and frustrating and uncompensated, by the way, which I can never understand why sports journalists who take time out of their day so that they can vote on who's good. It's ridiculous.
Part of why it's not as good as it should be is because they don't get paid to do it.
And therefore they're like, well, I'm not, this takes a long time to really, to do it right. To do it right, you've got to evaluate more than 25 teams, to be honest with you, but at least, those teams. Now you're going to guess on some, I get it, but you got to be.
And at the end of the day, that's like, it doesn't mean anything. And it's kind of amazing when you think about it, that like people lose their jobs over this. And I don't mean over the vote or whatever, but I mean over like maybe not doing as well against the voted top 10 teams as they would like to, or their fans would like to have them do. It's the most ridiculous construct in all of sports, voting on who's good and then treating it as if it were consequential. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. Like I can beat the number one team if I were UCLA and I beat Penn State when they were like number 3 or number 2 or whatever they were, and now they've lost every Big Ten game they've played. So, but I forevermore, I'm going to have beaten the number 3 team. No, you beat a team that won't be within the rankings, within, a Hubble telescope of the rankings by the time we get to November. So I don't know. That whole construct is ridiculous. Indiana doesn't need a ranking to know that they're special or what they've done is special. They need to continue to achieve and perhaps play in the Big Ten championship game, perhaps play in the college football playoff, and perhaps advance round after round after round into the college football playoff. That's what really matters.
Five Lefts would like to hear you do your best Mick impression, and I don't know.
We're talking about Mick Jagger, Mick Cronin. Which Mick are we doing here? Mick Hucknall?
I mean, the only Mick I could think of was you got me at Mick Cronin. I wouldn't have pulled that one out, but yeah, I was like, what is that? I hate when I see stuff like that because it gets my brain off of my train of thought. We've got expansion that is definitely coming.
Don't say that, Jim. Until they come over the wall, don't say that. The
only reason I do is because you got the daggone NCAA president, Charlie Baker, saying, I see plenty of teams that are deserving not getting in. I'm like who? Like North Carolina? Like Indiana last year?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
You don't. He has no evidence for that. Jim, I will tell you what. I will challenge Charlie Baker anytime he wants to talk to me about this, to have a debate about this, because I spend, and since 2019-20, of course, we didn't have a tournament that year, but every year since 21, 22, 20, all the way to 25, I spend a significant part of my week from the last weekend of December until the second week in March, the selection Sunday. I spend a significant part of my week looking at the difference on one side of that line and the other. A significant part. I run through the data. I run through what has worked, what has gotten teams in the past. I compare this team to that team and what they've accomplished. And I look at all of that. And in my entire time at Fox, there has never been a team that was left out that indisputably had a spot in the field. The last time that I identified that as having happened was Monmouth in 2016. So it's been almost 10 years since we had a team that absolutely unequivocally should have been in the tournament that was left out. Now, there are times, and
you could Notre Dame say that about West Virginia though last year.
But there were arguments against West Virginia. Was there a better argument for? That's what I was going to get to. There are times when you can say as a team that's left out that we deserve to be in more than the team that got in. There's usually one or two of those each year, usually more like one. And you can say we deserved it more than they deserved it. That happens pretty much every year. If you look at the bracket matrix, which includes 200 brackets, and the vast majority of them are fairly serious enterprises. They're not all professional. But they put a lot of the same work, if not more, into it than I do. And so there's usually one team that everybody or most everybody in that bracket matrix has in, and one that gets left out, and one that's is left out but gets in by the matrix consensus. There's usually one, but in terms of indisputably qualified, it doesn't happen. I hear now that after I disputed Charlie Baker's position online yesterday, I heard from a lot of people supporting Indiana State 24. Nice team, had their chance, played 5 games against teams that made the NCAA tournament that were like field games, not like automatic bid type games, but these teams would have been in no matter what. It was Drake, it was Alabama, Michigan State. I think there were 3 Drakes and Alabama and Michigan State, and they were 1-4 in those games.
Yeah.
1-4. They had 3 shots at Drake, lost 2 of them. Could they have been in a different year when there were fewer bid steals? Maybe they get in. But in that year, that was the field, and they didn't earn it as a result of losing those four games. They lost 80% of their tournament quality games. You can't say that team indisputably belonged in.
No, it was a great story, and it was probably more emotional than anything.
Yeah, a lot of that. Yeah, I get this all the time. We should make sure that if we do get extra bids, that they should all go to mid-majors. Why? Well, because I'd rather watch. Well, first of all, if you'd rather watch Illinois State or James Madison, why aren't you watching them during the regular season? Because they're not getting big numbers when they play big games in the Colonial, or they play big games in the Valley or wherever. They don't get huge audiences, and those games are available. So if everybody would rather watch them, I don't know why they're passing on the myriad opportunities they have to watch those teams. But you have to go according to who earns it, not who you'd rather see. If you do expand the tournament, nearly all of those bids are going to go to power conference teams. It's the reality. Because again, I know what's on both sides of those lines. And the reality is that there are very few Indiana States that are close, but not quite. It's mostly, let's say, West Virginia
last year was Indiana, yeah.
Yeah, or Ohio State. Those are the teams that nearly got in last year but didn't. And so you're going to have more of those. And what you sacrifice, Jim, is not the quality of the tournament. Because the reality is that if you go to 76, it'll probably be structured so that you have more games on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now it'll be like a first 8 or first 16 or whatever instead of the first 4. You'll have more games on Tuesday and Wednesday, and you will be able to, as a viewer, ignore them, as most people do now, and turn on the television at noon on Thursday, and then your tournament starts. But here's what you lose. Do you remember the fact that Indiana, Nebraska, and Ohio State were all right there on the bubble last year? And it happened that they all intersected. They all played one another in the final week and a half, 2 weeks of the regular season. Indiana played Nebraska, Nebraska played Ohio State played Indiana, etc. And it was just riveting. And all of them ended up missing, but we didn't know that at the time. And we knew they all had a shot. And that made for absolutely fantastic basketball and absolutely riveting television. That's what we want. In an expanded world, what happens to those games? Well, they're going to get in. So it's not that important. They're not super great, but they're going to get in. So I don't really have to watch whether they beat Ohio State or not, because they're going to get in, because there's 76 teams. So a lot of these teams are going to get in. And that's what you're going to miss. You are going to damage the regular season of college basketball. And there are really loud voices out there, Jim, the kind of people who say what Feinbaum said about the extension for Curt. There are a lot of people with big microphones that call college basketball a 1-month sport. that ignore the entirety of November, December, January, February, and the first couple of weeks of March. Ignore it all. And then because they have to, because the public demands it, now they pay attention to the NCAA tournament. And that list of people, whether or not, will grow because they'll know that anybody that can play at all is getting in. Now there's no real effort. If you can, as I often say, if you can bounce the ball 3 times without knocking it off your foot, then you're going to get in. And that will really damage college basketball's regular season. And it bothers me to have someone like Charlie Baker out there campaigning for this and not paying any attention to what the consequences are.
Yeah, well, they're looking at one thing, and that's their bottom line, and that's because that's the only thing that they have done well is run championships, and so I think that they're trying to maybe latch onto that and ratchet it up and show that, hey, we're really needed for this part at the very least. Yes,
but he's right. I mean, in the sense that they are needed for that. You have to have the NCAA to have an NCAA tournament. You have we're close to 90 years of history now with that. In 2029, it'll be 90 years. And so you can grab anybody and stage a tournament, but it won't be the same. And what Charlie is doing is he is doing the bidding of his membership. But so when I'm mad at him for doing that, I'm really disappointed in those who are empowered at the conference level, because they're the ones that are really missing on this. They're the ones that should understand what they're putting at risk. For a couple of extra bids and a couple of extra checks, they're putting what their enterprise is. The conference season, the conference tournament, they're putting those at risk just for a couple of extra bids that aren't that lucrative. I mean, they're not lucrative, but they're not so lucrative as to imperil what's happening on your campuses and within your conference tournaments. And that's what you're going to put at risk if you do this.
The great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News is with us. I don't know if you have time for another segment because
I think we can go one more for sure.
We didn't get to talk about your piece on Cody Campbell last week, and I thought about that all week, and I'm like, man, I wanted to talk about that because that's still a very ongoing thing. But we got lots more coming up with the great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. We're back with all of that and more right after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday. Glad to have you along. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News is with us as well. And a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you probably are not aware of. A couple of different factions pushing different agendas. One is the NCAA is kind of aligned with, basically. And then the other is not. It's kind of a grassroots, but now you've got senators involved and a very, very wealthy billionaire booster at Texas Tech, Cody Campbell. And he's been kind of, when you got that kind of money, you can make some noise.
Yeah. Cody Campbell, who is a former Texas Tech football player, made a lot of money in the oil business and is a Red Raiders booster now. And he has put on television campaigns to try to change the way college athletics function. And we're not talking about minor tweaks to how college sports function. We're talking about massive changes that he's proposing with basically no evidence that his ideas are better. And he's in most cases not signifying why he even believes his ideas are better. He's just saying, my ideas are better, you should support them, in so many words. What he has advocated for in an editorial that he wrote for USA Today was, first of all, the elimination of the NCAA, because he believes the NCAA as an organization has fought against meaningful, positive change. I presume, such as name, image, and likeness payments, etc. He didn't really specifically say which changes they fought against, but I think we all can presume that the amateurism issue and all of that would be part of it. And what I pointed out in my response article to his editorial is that those rules were all passed by the member schools. And the member schools all said to the NCAA here, enforce these. Do it real. You have to enforce these. And then, of course, in most occasions, when the NCAA did that, then the member schools, the particular member school that got in trouble, was mad that the NCAA was enforcing the rules against them. But by and large, that's where the impetus for that came from. That those schools wanted these rules and they wanted the NCAA to enforce them. So to eliminate the NCAA because of that is preposterous. I mean, it is totally counterintuitive. It makes no sense. What I said in my article was, if you want the colleges out of college athletics, that's what you would be doing. You're saying, we don't like the way colleges are administering college athletics, so no more college. We'll just have athletics. That's the logical extension of what he proposed by eliminating the NCAA. The practical extension of what he proposed is that you would lose all of the institutional knowledge about how to run an organization, a sports organization of the size and heft of the NCAA, the 1,000+ people that work in that building over on the edge of downtown. And you would have to replace all of that. And so the logical thing to do then, Jim, would be to go to Indy and hire them all back. So why would you eliminate the NCAA? Well, what he really wants, in addition to that, is he wants the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 to be revised, because the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 basically allowed NFL, MLB, etc., to pool their national broadcasting rights and sell them to networks. So like the NFL could sell as a league their games to CBS, Fox. Well, there wasn't Fox then, but at the time, CBS, NBC, ABC, whoever was interested in buying, they were all.
Well, we already have that now with the conferences.
But that's what he's fighting against, because the conferences in 1985, the NCAA at the time was pooling the television rights of the various member schools in high major football, and they were selling them to ABC. And ABC was putting on 1, maybe 2 games a week. So all of college football was basically Notre Dame, Southern Cal, or Ohio State, Michigan, or Nebraska, Oklahoma. And that was all you really got to see, Texas, Arkansas. That was it. You didn't get to see, like, if you're a Indiana fan now who's totally jazzed by what the Hoosiers are doing, you can see every game they play. You might have to pay for this service or that, or your cable or whatever, but you have the ability to see every game they play. And that's what the Supreme Court decision of 1984, Oklahoma Board of Regents versus the NCAA, opened up, because they said, you know what, Oklahoma should have the rights to sell their own football games however they see fit. And eventually it came down to the conferences. It took a little while, but eventually it came to the conferences pooling their rights and selling them, and Notre Dame in their instance selling their television rights individually. But then the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, etc., sell their rights as a group. And why Cody Campbell is bothered by that, Jim, is that Texas Tech games aren't worth as much as Ohio State games. It's as simple as that. He's mad about that, and he wants Ohio State brought down and Texas Tech brought up so that they can be on an even playing field. And that's not logical. That's not reality. That's not this marketplace that allows for the exposure of so many different games on so many different channels. We've seen ESPN and their various affiliated networks, ESPNU, ESPN2, etc. Plus, we've seen
Don't forget the Ocho.
That's absolutely the Ocho. We've seen the Big Ten Network. We've seen Fox and FS1. And we've seen the SEC Network and ACC Network. And all of these are allowing more college sports to be carried and exposed. And Cody Campbell's world would eliminate all of that and concentrate it back in the hands of a few people. That's not the best path for college athletics. And what's bothersome is he's dressing it up as if he's fighting for the Olympic sports,
yes,
their future.
The women's, they really banging it on this is for the women's sports and all that.
Right. It's not.
Crap.
It's not. It absolutely is not, because the women's sports in those leagues that they're trying to bring back to the pack, the SEC, Big Ten, the Olympic sports and the women's sports are very successful. They're very few of them have been cut at that level. Even with revenue sharing and that sort of thing, the revenue share, the introduction of revenue share for the 2025-26 academic year, $20.5 million per school if you can afford it. The introduction of that led to the elimination of 14 Division I athletic programs. And it's only 14 if you count diving, which was cut at 2 schools that's continue to sponsor swimming. So they got rid of diving, which was maybe like 5 athletes at each school. But they still have swimming at those schools. So it's really a dozen. When we had the pandemic, we had many more sports that were cut as a result of that. So the revenue share world is not hostile to Olympic sports and non-revenue sports, or whatever you want to call it, or women's sports. It's not. As a matter of fact, women's sports have grown as we've gone through NIL and now rev share. I mean, we're seeing the volleyball competition. I don't know how much it's connected to you, Jim, because Indiana has not been elite at that. But Nebraska
they are now ranked. Now ranked.
Well, they're coming. So, but Nebraska and Oklahoma and a lot of Louisville and Pitt. I mean, they're selling out arenas now for these matches. They're selling them out.
It's the heart of volleyball in the NCAA. And I know that when before I moved up here from Southern Indiana, there's a huge area in Louisville where it's recreational, it's club volleyball, where the girls that play on their high school teams that are already good, like those Catholic schools, Assumption and all of those down there, It's a big deal, but it's also it's a huge spectator or a sport that people can continue to play after college and into your 30s, 40s, whatever, that you can continue to participate in. Plus, now like these women's teams, that's competitive as hell to watch.
Oh yeah,
let me be honest, and I don't mean to be sexist, but there are some sports you're like, just because it's not as, when it comes to volleyball, I don't want to be in front of any of those kills coming down. They'll rip your head off, man. It's just amazing the talent that they have. But yeah, Steve Aird has done a remarkable job because the Big Ten is the toughest conference.
Yes.
Penn State, Wisconsin, and Nebraska, Maryland. These teams are just unbelievably incredible. And he has gotten them. They're ranked 22nd right now. They're coming off of a sweep of UCLA and USC.
I know Purdue has been very good as well. So you're seeing the growth of these sports. The current atmosphere is not hostile to Olympic and women's sports, but Cody Campbell wants everyone to believe they're imperiled. It's not the reality. It's really not.
But are they only from the standpoint of none of those sports make money? None.
But they're
Women's
starting
basketball doesn't even make money.
But the audiences are growing. And as audiences grow, Jim, you can monetize that. When you're selling in maybe 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you're selling maybe 1,000 tickets or 2,000 tickets to those kinds of events. You're not making money, you're losing money. But now you're selling, in some instances, 12, 13, 14. At Nebraska, they're selling 16, 17, 18,000 seats a match, as well as at Wisconsin. So you can at the very least break even. And you may be able to make some money at this. So yeah, I think they're growing, and as they grow, they become more important. And plus, Title IX still exists, so you have those sports to meet your Title IX obligations as well. I don't see any hostility at the institutional level to Olympic and women's sports right now. I think that's being used as a shield for what they're really trying to do. And that's not the best thing. As a consumer of college athletics, you should be concerned about all of that authority being concentrated into one body. It's not progress to take the decisions that are now made by 20 to 30 organizations in terms of the conferences, like 30 plus in basketball, 11 or 12 in football. They're the ones that are making the decisions now. Concentrating that all in one body is not the best for the future of college sports. That's the concentration is what Cody Campbell wants. That is not the best thing and when I say the future of college athletics, I'm talking as a consumer, it's not the best thing, let alone for the athletes themselves.
Yeah, and I agree that just wanting to make change for how they see it to make it fit into their box, mainly. What's up next for you, man?
Yeah, I have a column out today about what I believe to be the one way that Penn State can make their decision to remove James Franklin into a positive one. And that way runs close to you. I knew, and I told you last week after it happened that I told Coach, actually, you were not with us, but you were on your way back. But I told Coach last week that Curt Cignetti was not going anywhere. And I was right about that. Like I said, I was right faster than I thought. But I think the one guy that they can get that can make this really work, and not that they can get, but that they could hire, and that's Jeff Brom. And it's going to be really.
I was thinking that same thing. It's funny you say that.
And I point out all the reasons why that is a good idea and all the reasons it's going to be hard to pull off in the column that is now up at sportingnews.com. And you can find it on my Twitter at TSN Mike.
Well, I will be retweeting that because I was watching Louisville when they were taking down Miami, and he just has a knack for having his teams play really well in big games. What, a couple of years ago when he was at Purdue, and they beat Ohio State by like 3 touchdowns or something crazy.
Yes,
when they were number 1. But
they never beat a number 1. Ohio State was number 2 that year.
I think he's 4-4 against top 2 matchups or top 10 matchups.
And he has beaten 5 top 10 teams. And look where he's coached. Western Kentucky, which waters down his record, by the way, because you take out the Western Kentuckys and he's basically 500 in these games. And I think he's like 4-7 in the Western. Yeah, it is. But you take out Western and he's basically 500 against top teams. He's got victories against number 2 Ohio State in 18, number 2 Iowa in 21, number 3 Michigan State in 21, number 10 Notre Dame in 23, and then this past weekend number 2 Miami. That's really impressive.
It's odd that you say that because I was watching that and I was thinking the same thing because they kept talking about his record against top teams, and I'm like, well, there you go, Pat Kraft. There's your guy right there. And it would be a match made in heaven. Now, it would not be the perfect storybook ending for Jeff Brom landing in Louisville, which he could stay there if he wants, and he could probably coach as long as he wants.
Right.
But I don't think you're going to have a chance to win a national championship there. Not that you can't. You can win one anywhere, but I just don't think it will happen there. But if you go to Penn State, you know you're going to have the resources, and that's up there. But yes, I agree with you 1,000%. Man, I'd say great minds think alike, but that would be an insult to you, so I won't do that. But yeah, I was watching that game thinking, man, that's the guy they ought to go after. And I know they can get him because what's he making? $6 million a year?
$6 million, yeah.
That's chump change, man. That's chump change in this business. They would double him to like 10 or 11, probably. At least 10, I would say.
Yeah.
How do you turn down an extra, $4 or $5 million a year on a 5-year contract? That's $20 million.
Yeah. So that'll be the question: home versus opportunity. So we'll see what happens.
Make sure you check it out at the Sporting News. Man, I was thinking very about. I cannot wait to read it. Mike, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And thanks for the extra time today. We appreciate you very much.
You bet.
Mike DeCourcy giving us a few extra minutes today here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming up after we take a little pause for the cause. After these messages, of course.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Okay.
Welcome back. Here's Curt
UCLA.
Cignetti's presser.
UCLA,
for this
we're
week's
playing a
game
3-0
against
football
UCLA.
team that's undefeated. That's 3-0 in the conference. Since they have retooled their staff and now have their new defensive coordinator and offensive staff in place. Very impressive football team, okay? And offensively, this team is rushing for 233 yards a game right now in their last 3 games, which would be against Penn State, Michigan State, and Maryland. Okay? Time of possession, 36.5 minutes. That means the other team has the ball 23.5 minutes. 50% on third down, 70% on fourth down. They've gained 2 possessions with 2 fake punts. So they're keeping the ball away from the other team. They're starting fast, outscoring people in the first half 58-17. Okay, averaging 33 points a game. And defense, a lot of different personnel packages, really try to keep you off balance, really impressed with what they do. When you get outside of normal down and distance situations, you see a lot of stuff. They got about 7 personnel packages, a variety of blitzes, pre-snap looks with linebackers mugged to try to confuse the quarterback a little bit. And they're a rejuvenated football team. And led by a talented quarterback who really has a quick body and a live arm and has made some big plays with his legs also. Really good skill people and, a new offensive design, so to speak. So, I mean, we're playing a 3-0 football team at home this Saturday at 12 o'clock. Michigan State, good conference win. Offense scored touchdowns their first 5 drives. The first 2 in the third quarter were great to see. They're all great to see. Defense shut them out the last 38 minutes of the game till, at the end we had quite a few of the starters out. They kicked the field goal at the end. We didn't get off to the greatest start. Michigan State had 2 possessions. We had 1 possession, and there was 9 minutes left in the second quarter. So at that point, every play was going to be really important. But we did a great job of adjusting and playing a little better. And, 2/3 of the game we pitched a shutout. So special teams, we had a 22-yard punt return, made all our extra points, field goal. Both kickoff guys kicked the ball out of the end zone. We didn't punt. They punted twice, once with the quarterback. So, but this is going to take tremendous preparation and effort on our part this Saturday. Questions?
There was, I got to get myself back in there. Curt Cignetti talking to the media this week about the upcoming opponent, the UCLA Bruins, who normally would not strike much fear into the life of anybody, as they were pretty bad, to be honest with you, for the last 2 seasons. But ever since, I don't know that I've ever seen. I didn't get to ask Mike about my sweatshirt. You all can't see this because if you're listening on radio, but I've got a very cool, it's just a blue sweatshirt, but in the middle is a big old patch, Converse All-Star in white with a Chuck Taylor or a blue star and a Chuck Taylor. The old Chuck Taylor's shoes, man. Chuck Taylor was from Indiana, by the way. But I forget what I was saying, but it doesn't matter. Curt Cignetti really laying it out about UCLA. That's more than he's talked about most teams. And part of it, I think, is because everybody looks at UCLA kind of like a lot of the national people were looking at Indiana. Like, yeah, I don't think so. Well, they won. They beat a good Penn State team. They mentally weren't in the game, I'll granted, but they still beat a team that was better than they were, that has better talent than they did. Then they won another game. Then they won another game. I think they won 3 straight. I think that streak comes to an end here, but they're riding high, man. They're confident. They are happy as they haven't been this happy in a couple of years. If they were here last year, they were miserable. And then the start of this season, more misery. So you go through all that adversity, all that misery, and now you've got this. Man, they're going to be jacked. That's when you play above your head. I'm not saying that it's going to be a close game, but they're going to have to watch Nico I'm-a-leaving. He always likes to be I'm-a-leaving I'm drawing a big old word blank today. Pocket. He likes to be I'm-a-leaving from the pocket and get out there and run. But that's one thing about the Indiana defense I've noticed this year. Man, even when those guys, other than the very first game or maybe 2, when they made some adjustments, a lot of tackles for loss. A lot of tackles for loss. A lot of sacks. A lot of sacks against good teams. There cannot be another stat like Indiana taking on 2 top 10 teams and allowing very few points, but grabbing 13 sacks in those 2 games. Yeah, that's getting it done. That is getting it done. Hey, before I forget, I meant to say this yesterday. I want to shout out to Josh Bruick up there in Fort Wayne. Big thanks to him and everybody at the Hoosier Ticket Project. They took care of another great group of fans over the weekend. Got to see the Michigan State game. 2 of those was Fulton and his grandfather Kelly. I got to go to what I believe was their first IU football game. So congratulations. Glad that you got to experience that. I noticed that the AP poll, 9 ranked teams lost, and every team moved except for 1. Do you know who that is? Well, I'm not waiting. It's Ohio State. They're the only team that didn't move. They stayed at the number 1 spot. Indiana moved up from number 3 to number 2, but everybody moved. Some out, some in. Vanderbilt is experiencing their first top 10 since 1947. This is stuff that we were saying about Indiana last year. Except for Indiana went from being 3-9 to 11-0. 11-1. 10-0 and then 11-1 rather. Yeah, they didn't have that build up here. But I am shocked that and I may have changed the subject accidentally with Mike, but coaches are losing their jobs just so fast now. And it's like, it's pointless. What are you going to do most situations it's pointless. UCLA, oh boy, that was definitely needed. Obvious, and boy, does it's like UCLA was someone had a balloon in their stomach and it was just continuously pumping air into that balloon, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then finally someone was able to reverse engineer it, let's say, because UCLA was obviously just a miserable place to be, which I kind of thought that already, which last year when Tino Sunseri left to go there, I was already thinking, why would you make that move, man? But hey, knows more than I do. There's been a new one of the committee members for the college football playoff committee is taking off for personal time, but will not be replaced. So they're going to have one less. They're going to have one less. Yeah, that's an insult. Feinbaum is not the McAfee of anything. McAfee's at least funny. And a little bit more intelligent on the sport of football and other sports. Kind of have to play the game. Louisville hired Gruden. Wow, there's a thought. You know what? I never thought of Gruden in any of these college hires. I don't know that he could withstand that. Big David Little swope down there in the I don't know, are you in the 502 or the 812? 812 Southern Indiana, 502 is Louisville. But he says that nobody in the 502 will believe that Brom leaves for Penn State, and he might not. He might not. I get it. I mean, that's a situation that just doesn't happen in life, man. Think about your dream job, okay, happening at the dream location, where you went to school, where you went to high school, the town where you have roots, where you're so well known. I mean, it's a perfect situation. But there's always a big hairy but. But he's making probably, I think, around $6 million, which I said earlier, which, yeah, that sounds like a lot. But it's not when you compare to what Penn State will pay. Lots more than that. Lots more millions. Jeff Brom right now doesn't even make $6 million. He makes 5.9, very close. Probably will next year. But he's already been there. Is this his third season? So it wasn't really about money. Hell, I think he was making $5 million at Purdue. He's the 43rd highest paid coach in college football. So it's not really about money for him. I don't know that he would leave Penn State. I mean, it's funny. You get jobs like this that you think people would just run, just empty the hills to get to. And then sometimes it's like, I'm good right now. And that's I'm kind of getting that feeling with the Penn State situation, although I know Matt Rule is sitting there just salivating. He wants out of Lincoln. I have no doubt. It's for whatever reason, they just can't get it done there. And I don't know if it's a lack of money. It shouldn't be. We've seen what Curt Cignetti was able to get done before they started getting the money. They've gone through multiple coaches. I'm not sure why he would be so desirable for Penn State, Matt Rule. I mean, he hasn't really gotten the job done out in Nebraska, but hey, whatever. But then that's going to create, if they hire a named coach, then that creates a vacuum. And then now you've got an opening somewhere else, whether it's at Nebraska, then you're probably, forgot to write down Wisconsin. You're probably going to have an opening at Wisconsin. Yeah, I got to put it up here. Wisconsin. Think of those names, though. UCLA, Penn State, Florida, Wisconsin. Probably not the only ones. But yeah, it's odd that Mike brought that up, because that sure crossed my mind this weekend when I was watching that game, because of his record mainly against those bigger teams. He gets it done. Hey, we've got to take a break. We'll hear more from Curt Cignetti when we get back, and more chatter. Clam chowder. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Glad to have you along. I was just reading that Penn State, and in getting rid of James Franklin in the middle of the season especially, but his contract ran through 2031. And, of course, they have to pay him that remainder, which was roughly $56 million. But the funny thing is, had they just waited until the end of this season, they would have saved themselves $8 million.
just to wait till the end of the season. That's dumb. That is just, give me that $8 million. If it means that little to you, let me have half of it. Hell, I'll take one of it. But that's $8 million that was just pissed away. It angers me, man. You could touch people's lives. You could change people's lives. Give a couple random people $1 million. I think that would be outstanding. Outstanding. I wish I were one, but I'm sure that I would not be. Earlier, I was talking about college football coaches, man, going by the wayside. I mean, when you get fired before the season's halfway over, there has to be a really good reason. It's like something has happened, or UCLA situation, completely understandable. But the rest of these, we're just dumb. What are you getting ahead of? I mean, unless you've got a bad locker room situation, a bad team situation, which that's not something that I would know about or we would know about unless it came out. But the good thing is, think about all the past years watching college football. It was the same old, same old. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about the cheating that went on, that did go on. And now it's evened out a great deal. Not that there still won't be some kind of cheating, I'm sure, but it's almost to the point to where, it might help you, but it may not help you enough, because there are just guys everywhere. The biggest surprise to me, though, has been the guys that have been able to come up from the lower level and not just compete, but sometimes, I don't know if I should use the word dominate, but how about your boy that went to Tennessee from Yale? I mean, the big dude last year from Michigan. I think he originally came from Yale, didn't he? The kid that it's now at Drake. I mean, that's mind-boggling. Now, these guys could transfer before, so it's a little shocking that there's that much talent down there. But, the truth is the truth. It is what it is. Brian says the Penn State needs a loan right now. Well, they just might. This is going to be an unbelievable amount of money, because they were already in the middle of putting in a boat ton of money into the football program. They are in the process of finishing a new practice facility et al., which is going to be something, of course. You get to show it's like taking the coach out in a new car. Coach, we got this new car we'd like for you to drive around. This is what you'll drive every day when you come to work. And think about the facilities they have there. So that's not like it's going to be a sell. I mean, go look it up online sometime.
Massive. Weight room is, I don't know, 4 times the size of Indiana's football weight room. Their indoor facility has bleachers. I have not been in the Indiana's in the Mellencamp Pavilion since they redid it. I heard that they spruced it up, which I sure hope, because that's all I kept saying every time I would go in there. This place looks like death warmed over. They couldn't put any bleachers in there, unfortunately, because it's not quite wide enough, which is a shame, because that would be cool to do for, I don't know, spring if it's rainy or whatever the case may be. But $700 million going into that, $100 million going into getting rid of their coach with everyone. Another $100 million is going to cost them to get a new coaching staff. Hell, it's going to cost $100 million just for the coach, 10-year contract, whatever. It probably won't get a 10-year to start out, but 5-year contract. It probably, Franklin was making 8, so I'm guessing they're going to have to buck up. Do they go up to 10? So even if it's a 5 or 6-year contract, there's $60 million more. Now you've got your assistants. You're currently paying your defensive coordinator $3 million a year, which it probably won't be that, but it's going to be 2 something. Let's just call it 2.5 for each. That's $5 million a year. Then you've got 14 other coaches, however many there are, staffers. Oh, yeah. And then the players. It's $1 billion. This is going to be $1 billion when it's all said and done, everything involved. Now it's you can't really, the biggest part of it is this training facility at $700 million. So that has nothing to do with the coaching change, but it's just all the money that is currently going into football at Penn State is going to, I'd say, a top $1 billion. So craziness. But who is going to take? I mean, all right, if it's not Jeff Brom, I wonder who. Yeah, they did. Oh yeah, that's a lot nicer. Normally you've got a bunch of, you're like, oh well, that's easy, him or him or him, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a current head coach. I would sure think it is. And if the desire for Matt Rule is there, although he hasn't done anything, I'm sure that that's what will happen. But I just don't, who's out there that's available that you would hire? Who would you hire if you were Penn State? Who would you hire if you were Florida? Don't forget. Now, UCLA's lucky. They've already got their coach, baby. Yes, Brian, the Brom family played at Louisville. 5 thinks that Penn State will hire someone from the NFL before they hire Rule. I mean, I don't doubt that. I don't think that Matt Rule's done anything, is what I deal. Pam and Scott are all in on football. Will be interesting to see what they do with the stadium located in Bloomington and in the state of Indiana. Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah, it is going to be interesting because something has to be done. How are you going to do it? You're going to have to engineer this thing. I think there are some corner spots that they could put some suites. And hopefully they're not planning on just putting suites on each side of that press box and leaving the damn press box up there, which I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Hey, man, we are packed tomorrow. Actually, we're packed the rest of the week. But Dylan Sin should be joining us tomorrow. Cal Neddenrip, Zach Browning, and Pat Forty, national writer. He's written for everybody. Yahoo, ESPN, Sports Illustrated. He's with Sports Illustrated now, but I've known Pat for a lot of years. He went to Missouri, and I remember when he was working for the Courier-Journal down in Louisville, and I lived in Southern Indiana, and just happened to be in the gym when he came in to do an interview with Joe Hinton, very well-known basketball coach down in the Knobs back then. So he started out covering high school stuff at the Courier, and he just kept going up. His writing was really good. He was quickly covering college basketball, and that was at the Mecca. That was at the time when you had Louisville was good, Kentucky was good, Indiana was good. I mean, it was rocking and rolling. He's late 80s, getting into the 90s. And so, and think of the writers. You know, you guys probably, some of you will know who Billy Reed is, but Billy Reed came out of down there. His career-wise, I don't know where he was actually from. But Pat Forty from Missouri, but his career, his entire career, he's been there in Louisville. And Rick Bozich, another from Northern Indiana, from the region, but I mean, basically, he's been down here the whole time. Well, man, I cannot thank everybody enough as always. Look forward to being back tomorrow. We've got the World Series set. Didn't get to talk about that much today. The Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, will take on Toronto, man. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Seattle. And I saw they had the baseball stadium on last night. That was kind of wild while the Monday Night Football game was going on. But appreciate everybody as always. Come back and join us again tomorrow. We are packed and loaded. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. You know where I'll see you. Right on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.